Thank you, Ramona. At this time, we'll have one of our youngest speakers of this rally. Nick Vaughn is the former chairman of the Guilford County Teenage Republicans, and he currently serves as the committeeman on the North Carolina Teenage Republicans Executive Board. Please help me welcome Nick Vaughn.
Thank you all. I just first want to thank Patty for inviting me here today, and I want to thank all of you for coming out. My friends, a compelling proverb once suggested, "Good things come to those who wait." America has been waiting for a president that has the leadership and the conviction to guide this country to economic prosperity while upholding the status quo of the American independence and freedom. These views are being compromised by a president whose lack of leadership is dampering America. We see frivolous spending, and it is casted America in the midst of a prolonged recession. Furthermore, the division has been sparked from this administration is both unprecedented and unlike the America we know and love. Instead of coming together in the midst of this time, we are being divided from another. As candidate Obama campaigned in 2008 on the slogan of "Yes, we can," I'd like to know where the "we" has gone. I recall one of the most horrific days in American history, September 11th, 2001. A group of terrorists attacked the lives of innocent Americans. Rather than letting this go, we came together as American citizens. And the feeling of patriotism was rife once again throughout this country. The feeling of devastation and despair was no doubt felt across this country, but as Americans we transferred these emotions into patriotism, something that has been scarce throughout these last 4 years. After the attack, a feeling that it was proud to be an American again was felt across this land. We saw American flags fly once again across this country. I want each and every one of you to remember how comforting it was to see all ethnicities and religious organizations come together for something bigger than ourselves. Now recall the past 4 years. The man who promised us hope has only left us hopeless. The man that promised bipartisanship has left us only in division. Let's truly take a look at where the faulty political rhetoric and promises for the sake of a campaign has left for an America that, under the lack of leadership of this president, has resulted in more divisions than solutions. First, we see parents frustrated that their adult children are living in their childhood bedrooms. They have invested in education, and yet upon graduating, they can find no jobs, and which results in them returning home. We find grandparents, after a lifelong devotion to work and service, to work harder than ever before, because they have to work harder because they're ever than dealing with bureaucrats because their Medicare has been compromised under Obamacare. This results in a bureaucrat in Washington deciding if an elderly patient is suitable for surgery, not the doctor. We find a lack of business understanding from a president who, throughout a time when jobs are scarce, made the decision to maintain a high corporate tax, maintained one of the most complex income taxes, and some of the most burdensome regulations on business owners that are passed right on to the consumer. We find a president who is campaigning as a president who wants to solve the illegal immigration problems the United States faces, but he fails to mention he had 2 years to fix the problem with both the House and Senate being controlled by the Democrats. Yet Obamacare was more important than jobs and illegal immigration. Finally, what the most egregious thing the president has done is use the notion of equality as a scapegoat for furthering political agenda. In this case, we look no further than the HHS mandate that the president has forced down our throats. Does this sound like something that the American people have been waiting for? Let's discuss exactly what the HHS mandate is and why it is devastating and crippling America. I'd like to begin discussing this topic by first outlining that my opposition of this mandate is not about denying women health insurance or access to preventative services, including contraception. I think that is something we all can agree on here. But as once spoken, your rights end where another's begin. In this case, the church and religious organization should not be responsible for providing preventative services. My friends, I want each and every one of you to know that this legislation is being used as a political trick and wedge. This is very parallel to how the Democrats used Medicare to scare the elderly and scaring voters in another issue. I want to remind you of in 2008, then candidate Obama said, and I quote, "Because if you don't have any fresh ideas, then you use stale tactics to scare voters. If you don't have a record to run on, then you paint your opponent as someone to run from. You make a big election about small things." Well, my friends, this election is going to be about big things and big issues. And I am confident that Mitt Romney will be the next president of the United States. What some do not know is that this is not a political issue, this is an American issue. We have some who drafted this bill that have a political agenda that directly attacks the beliefs of citizens of the United States. The slogan of trying to generate equality is far from the truth. This is a war directly on religious organizations that a majority of Americans believe should just stay out of politics. Just to prove some of these claims I am making, I want you to recall the 2012 Democratic National Convention that was just in our state. Let's take a look at exactly what Ms. Kennedy suggested. I quote, "As a Catholic woman, I take reproductive health seriously, and today it is under attack," Kennedy said. She has very notable confrontation with the Catholic Church in the past, and she has used the DNC speech to try and make a strike at the church. You know, I used to think in law school they taught logical analysis. Obviously, Sandra Fluck, a third-year law student at Georgetown University, missed that day in law school. She testified in Congress that we should pass the mandate because she, as a woman, has been discriminated against because contraception is not freely provided to her by her religious organization. Well, let's try to logically understand where Ms. Fluck is coming from. First of all, she has an iPhone that costs over $100 a month, yet somehow she cannot afford to go to Planned Parenthood, where she could easily obtain these devices, or Walmart, where they are just $4. Where is the logic here? Again, we look towards Obama's lack of leadership and his ability to bandwagon any movement that could gain him support. But as Joe Biden said during the Democratic National Convention, never bet against the American people. Well, this is a movement that the president has bet against the American people with and attacked religion. I recall in May that Bev Perdue made the same mistake, betting against the sanctity of marriage here in North Carolina, and she lost by over 60%. This election, we need to make sure Joe was right about at least one thing, although I do agree that the middle class has been buried these past 4 years. And that is why we cannot have a president who compromises religious freedoms for votes. You know, the president is now campaigning on moving forward. What exactly does he mean by this term? This is what I think he means. He means he wants to move America forward with this massive spending spree without remorse about future generations like myself. He believes we should continue to take America forward with division of America. But most of all, he wants to take America forward with a lack of leadership. Where is it okay to apologize to a terrorist organization for a video they used as an alibi to kill American citizens as well as a U.S. ambassador? then not to apologize to Christians for infringing upon their rights with the HHS mandate. This is not what America is about. If you were like me, I believe that these past 4 years have been a detour, not a destination. We can still get America back on track, and as the next governor of North Carolina suggests, if not now, then when? If not you, then who? My friends, I believe as Governor Romney does, and as President Reagan did, and that is that America is a country of greatness and that the best times are still yet to come. The government has no right infringing upon the rights of our religious churches, and if you believe that, then America is now dependent on you to save it, not only for your children, and your grandchildren. If you believe what the founders did, then it's time to take America back. We have 17 more days. We are going to win this thing, and President Romney will repeal Obamacare so that there are no more infringements on our rights. Thank you, and God bless you. May God bless America.